I can't believe I won.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Look Into It Tonight. It's all Illuminati with occult symbolism expert, DYER. What's up, Jay?
What's up, man? I see you're growing your hair out of this side of your head.
Oh, yeah, and you're growing the hair like me in 2010, dog. I had long hair my whole life. Then I cut it in 97. I should have cut it in 91. But I held it. I was like the last of the Mohicans to cut the hair when metal was officially dead. And then in 2008, I started, or 2007, 2008, I started like, you know what, let me grow it again. You know, long was acceptable again. So I grew it, and then I had it just like that for a while. And then my wife didn't like it. She goes, you got to cut your fucking hair. It looks like shit. And I cut it for her.
Dude, it was opposite with me. My wife was like, grow your hair. You need it. She said it'd give you magic powers like Samson in the Bible. I was like, all right, I'll do it. We'll see.
Damn. You know what that brings me to? Holy shit.
What's on your mind?
Shit. The long hair brings me to something that I just got into, man, in the music business. You want to start with the music business?
Sure.
God damn. Thank God my music sucks. Holy shit. Woo! I love watching music documentaries, rock docs. I love that shit. When I want to unplug from Captain Conspiracy, I'm all about the Cleveland Browns. I dive into football. It was created to distract you from paying attention, but I pay attention to everything. So I allow myself to unplug and be mindless and just enjoy myself and not be like, oh, fucking Illuminati's coming to get us all the time. I can't do it. On this podcast, I'm down. But I purposely avoid conspiracies. Like when I get home at night, I don't want to do no Joe Biden, no fucking laptop, no.
I don't know.
I don't want to do that shit. I want everyday football and rock docs. And I grew up a metalhead, massive metalhead. And but in 1981, I was 11. So I wasn't really that, the Hollywood music scene. I was 11. I was into Kiss. I was into Kiss when they sold out, when they jumped the shark. And I had no idea what even a sellout was. I just liked the music. I got into them when they sold out. I was 8 when I got into them. I know why all the original Kiss fans, all the older kids, they're like 16, 17. They're talking shit on Kiss. I had to end up pretending I didn't like Kiss anymore because I got so much fucking heat. I go, okay, I don't like Kiss no more. I don't like Kiss no more. So there was a club in West Hollywood called the Starwood. Have you ever heard of the Starwood?
No.
Dude, this is a new subject for you, dog.
Okay.
I just got into this, dog. I always heard about the Starwood and all these.
Right.
Starwood. Oh, yeah, it was a rock club. All the old, like Motley Crue, before they were Motley Crue, Nikki Sixx was in a band called London, and they played the Starwood. And Randy Rhoads, before he was an Aussie, he always played at the Starwood. Played at the Starwood. And for some reason, when I heard the Starwood, I thought it was in the Valley, because there's a strip club in the Valley called the Stardust or something. So I mixed up the club. So every time I heard, I saw that here at the Starwood in 1980, Quiet Riot at the Starwood in 1978, Blackie Lawless was in a band called London and all this shit. So I was here, Starwood. And then just fucking yesterday, I click on a video about Steven Adler. It's called Assaulting Adler. And Steven Adler was the original drummer for Guns N' Roses. He was on the first album, the big one, the biggest one ever, Appetite for Destruction. The fucking album go on forever. Were you ever into Guns N' Roses?
A little bit. I mean, I was into him a little bit too. I wasn't like a big Guns N' Roses fan because back then you were kind of biased. You liked only certain bands, and if you guys only like yes.
Yeah, but I mean, looking back now, I mean, Guns N' Roses, holy shit. how good was that first album? And then Use Your Illusion. But anyways, Steven Adler, they kicked him out after the first album, the first tour, and they too hooked on heroin. He was all fucked up on heroin. We kicked him out. So over the last couple decades, there's been like, Steven Adler played a special show in Guns N' Roses, and then Guns N' Roses went through Matt Sorum, and they got some other drummers, and they Guns N' Roses wasn't on fucking years too. They weren't even exist. They had the reunion over the last 10 years. So then I click on a video that says assaulting Adler. And he's talking about how when he was 16, he was hanging out at the Starwood. It doesn't exist anymore. It closed down in 1981. And man, he was saying that he got fucking drugged and raped by the people that worked, the manager and the owner. Like, they were all fucking, this is according to Adler. Adler was saying they fuck, and then I saw this other, then I'm like, what? The Starwood? What? Apparently, there's another video out there where there's guys going, you know what? This rock star said this about the Starwood. That rock star said this about the Starwood. All these different interviews, and everyone's saying, damn, if you were at the Starwood, damn, a lot of predators. Yeah. And your long hair reminded me of that.
Of being a predator?
No. Being like the metal scene, everybody had long hair. They were wearing makeup and big hoop earrings. And
were you into hard metal or hair metal?
I was into all of it.
Okay.
I was into all of it. But for a while, I was mainly into like Slayer and Metallica and the hard shit. And the first band I formed was a speed metal band. But I was Kiss and Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, Motley Crue's first couple albums, Rat's first couple albums. I was into all the regular metal too, but I would claim speed metal and thrash metal because you know, it made you tougher, you know.
Yeah, my best friend, so I was more of a weird electronic techno dude.
I turned into that.
Yeah, we always went back and forth about, because he was always trying to get me to listen to freaking Halloween and shit, and I'm like, Halloween,
dude. You said Halloween. You could have said, you know, Iron Maiden or something. You said Halloween. That's obscure, dog.
I told you, man. He was a metal freak, dude. My best friend was a metal freak, so that's how I know this stuff. So,
okay, so you were.
I wasn't, but I mean, you know, he was basically the dude that drove. He had a car before anybody else did, so he could get us beer. He could drive us around, and if you're gonna ride, you know, like if you only got one older friend that can drive, you have to listen to what he's gonna play. So, you know, my teenage years, I didn't have a car, so I was listening to metal that whole time.
Like, and you didn't like it. You're like, fuck. What were you into? You were what decade was this? The 90s or the 2000s?
This is 90s. So I grew up with Chemical Brothers.
Hell yeah.
Crystal Method. Like I loved all that shit.
I just had Scott from Crystal Method on my podcast like maybe 8 months ago or something.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta watch that. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a great episode, man. I was in a strip club, and so I played all the electronic. I got into electronic music once I did Molly. Molly will get you into electronic music that day. You could talk all the shit you want about techno. Want about techno. You do Molly, you're into techno, and you're gonna start buying. I was buying the CDs. I was into trance. Were you into trance?
Oh, I love trance. I still listen to trance. Yeah.
Oh my god, trance just got me. So what did you? When you were in high school, what were you thinking?
Well, when I realized I was too much of a white boy to play NBA, I quit the basketball team. I made the high school team, and then I quit and started working on stand-up. High school, I worked on a stand-up routine. I took all the theater classes, so I was set to be an actor and do stand-up.
Hell yeah! So you still do stand-up, right?
Yeah, a little bit of that. I mean, we do our own live shows, and I do a whole bit there. But
conspiracy comedy,
kind of, yeah.
Nice.
Well, I do a lot of them. I do like 50 impressions. So
what?
A lot of my performance stuff is like impression driven.
That's one thing I fucking can't. I can't cook. I can't clean. impressions, man. What's your best impression?
I bet you could do a lot of Hispanic. Can you do Be Real?
I can do Be Real.
Be Real.
That's the only one. No, not Be Real. I mean, a little bit of Be Real, but more Send Dog, his side dude.
Insane in the membrane.
Right.
Insane in the membrane. Got no brain, got nothing. I could do that guy. But that's it. I could do Send Dog. I could do a tribute Cypress Hill band, Easy and B Send Dog. And dude, can I do one more? Man, I wish I could do Trump, dog. I wish I could do Trump. Shane Gillis has the best Trump.
I just heard it the other day. It is good. Yeah.
It's the best. He's the best. He sounds exactly like.
Got the gurgle. He's got the gurgle.
Oh, part. Damn! You got it too. You got it.
Well, the key to doing Trump is you got to do this right here. You do a square with your lips. It's wonderful. See,
you got to do this square with your lips.
A square.
Man, I wonder if there's. If I could do Trump, dude, I would do drunk Trump. Because he's never had a drink in his life, right?
I've heard that, yeah.
He's never had a drink. Dude, that's fucking ultra mega respectable right there, right? Because you imagine if Trump a drunk? Can you imagine his drunk tweets? Oh, shit.
He already did drunk tweets with being sober, right?
Exactly. Can you imagine with a couple fucking double vodka sodas in him? The kind of tweets he'd be fucking. Like, Trump, calm down, dog. So would you consider Trump one of your voices?
Not really. My Trump is mediocre. I mean, it's not.
Dude, you got it. You could develop that shit. You could do that on stage. Fucking mad Trump. You could do drunk Trump. Do Trump. Do drunk Trump. do drunk Trump right now. Just talking shit on Joe Biden. Can you do that?
Listen, it's gonna be great. Eddie Bravo. This guy, look, I grew my hair out so he could grab me for his 10th planet to beat the shit out of me. He won't even do it. He won't even show up. Unbelievable. The guy's too scared. What planet is this guy on? 10th planet. Where is that? Who even knows?
Dude, that's fucking good.
I don't even know if that's any good. It's not.
Dude, that was good.
I haven't worked on it in a while.
What's your best impression? What's your best one?
People like the Nick Cage one the best.
Oh shit, let's hear it.
So if I was to do Nick Cage, you kind of got to do this draw where he does this thing and he sort of turns it into a thing where he talks about himself as an actor and vaudeville, and he takes little pieces of bone and he puts it inside of his jacket because he gets magical powers.
Damn,
he actually does that. He takes like pieces of bone and shit and puts it in his coat. He gets him into the role.
Whoa.
He says he sees himself. I see myself as a shaman. Yeah, I'm serious. Go watch that interview, dude.
I see myself as a shaman.
Watch the interview. That's right.
That's like saying I see myself. I see myself as a humble rock god. Yeah. That's fucking hysterical, dude.
You should go watch the interview where he says that. Some people think I'm just being stupid. That's actually what he said.
Hey, Hibbler, can you find that? What do we have to search? Nick Cage.
It's called.
You gotta enable share screen for me first.
Shit. Okay, damn. It's
an interview where he's talking about being
okay. There we go.
Shamanic. His acting technique is nouveau shamanic.
Nouveau shamanic is his acting technique.
Yeah.
I love it, dude. That dude, come on, man. We could do a whole show on that dude.
I love it. Crazy, man.
Like, how is that? Like the movie, like Sam Tripoli has a bit on stage where he tells the audience, call out any Nicolas Cage movie and he'll tell you the Illuminati propaganda purpose of the movie. Oh yeah. Shout out anything, face off, and then he rattles off. Let's see this shit.
You've developed an acting discipline that you've referred to as nouveau shamanic. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What are the core principles? Exciting. I'd love to be on set with you.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit. You could just do that verbatim, dude. And that's hysterical right there.
Yeah, like people think that's a bit. It's not a bit. That's his whole thing.
Wow.
That's legit method acting right there, right?
Damn. Now, what do you Like, didn't he change his name to Nicolas Cage because he didn't want people to think he was related to Francis Ford Coppola?
I think that's right. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he wanted to be his own, do his own thing without being tied to, somebody else's fame.
Yeah, I want people to think like the only reason he got a shot was because it was his uncle, right? Francis Ford Coppola.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, oh, people are going to say, it's only because I'm his nephew. But
Sam Tripoli's right, though. These movies are pretty esoteric, pretty occultic. I mean, National Treasure has him basically solving the code of America as a giant, Freemasonic mystery, and there's a lot in that. I mean, it's full of all seeing. The sequel has him basically discovering that America's built on a giant human sacrifice, like an Aztec, Incan human sacrifice.
Is there any truth? Is there any truth to that?
Well, I don't know if America's built on that, but I mean, I think those ancient cultures did that. Yeah.
So,
but I mean, he's the point of it's like, do you remember National Treasure at all?
Dude, I didn't even see it. I don't. I'm not a Nick. Dude, after I saw fucking Con Air. Once I saw Con Air, I go, I'll never see another.
What's wrong with Con?
Dude, that's horrible. Con Air was fucking horrible, man.
I think it's satire. I think if you go watch it, it's so ridiculous. It has to be a joke. But look at that.
Do they in this series? Do they mention Freemasonry? As a secret society?
Yeah.
And as a bad secret society or a good secret society?
It's like the secrets to America are hidden within the secrets of Freemasonry. So if you understand Freemasonry, you'll understand that all of America is based on the Freemasonic myth, basically. It's good. It's basically good.
It's saying that free.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy shit, man. Like I had this UFC fighter on my podcast named Hector Lombard, and he's super red pilled, but he's like beyond that. He was saying that he wants to be a Freemason. He wants to get into it because Freemasons, they know the secrets to the world, and why not be a Freemason? Why be a peasant and a slave and not know when you could know everything and be part of a society that knows where we came. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy, right?
Well, I have a relative who did the same thing, and he went all the way up to 32nd degree, paid all this money to go up all this, and it didn't even get him hired at a job he wanted. So I think you're paying a lot of money and you're going up these ranks and all this stuff. And I mean, maybe for some people they could get invited to the 33rd degree in DC or whatever. But I just think for most people, you're not going to get rich and famous out of it. It's just bullshit. It's like a pyramid scheme for a lot of people. But at the top, I think it goes back a long way.
Sam Tripoli and I are coming to your town. Catch us on the road doing Tinfoil Hat Comedy. Follow me on Instagram at Tinfoil Hat Comedy Night. Thursday, January 11th, we'll be in Cleveland. January 12th, we'll be in Philadelphia. Saturday, January 13th, we'll be in... Go to samtripoli.com for more information and to buy your tickets. See you on the road.
To being a mechanism of kind of steering and controlling society. I really think that was what the British Empire used it for the most part. It's the British Empire spy network. That's where it really flourished in world history. I don't buy the bullshit that it was like thousands of years old. I don't think that it is.
No, you think it's kind of new?
Yeah, I think speculative Freemasonry, Lodge of England, that's only a few hundred years old. And the older versions of that, if you go back to like Middle Ages Europe, I mean, it was just a guild of people who had a secret of how to, carve shit into stone. It was a secret society with a bunch of, esoteric knowledge. If you read Morals and Dogma, Albert Pike says in that book that it's basically just a way to steer and control society, and that they lie to the lower ranks and tell them they're going to have all these, secrets of the universe. It's just a control mechanism.
Interesting. So you think Freemasonry was just a bunch of high level stone workers for, you know.
In the Middle Ages, it was a Catholic workers guild. So different people had, you know, different skill sets. And if you had a skill, you wanted to teach it to, you know, pass that skill set on, you would have people join your workers guild, kind of like a union, like a.
Yeah.
So, but then over time, that network, that setup was useful for certain people who wanted to pass on different, you know, unorthodox ideas about speculating from man's destiny, this kind of stuff. So different groups like Rosicrucians, or what later becomes speculative Freemasonry in England, they saw it, that system and that structure, as a useful tool to co-opt and to use. So originally it was just a Catholic organization. I mean, that's why you don't find, you know, in the first 1,000 years of, you know, say Christianity or post death of Christ, you don't find anything about Freemasonry. It doesn't exist. There's no references to it. You only find modern coming about after the birth of the Lodge of England, the Grand Lodge of England, a few hundred years ago.
Interesting. So what about the story of the Jesuits co-opted or hijacked Freemasonry to manipulate society? Is there any truth to that? You heard about that, right? I mean, that's.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think the Jesuits. Yeah, I read a good bit about the Jesuits. I think that they probably at different times wanted to utilize co-opt any kind of organization. I don't know that they completely co-opted it, but I think in our day you can tell that, at least post Vatican II, the Jesuits have been pretty much co-opted by the CIA. I mean, it's multiple public scholarly books. So I don't know about the ancient, you know, like 500 years ago. I don't know if the Jesuits would have been doing that, but I think.
So you're saying, wait, you're saying this is huge. The CIA co-opted.
Yeah, basically in the 50s and
the Jesuits.
60s. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Wow, I never heard that one. Go into that, like, so that must mean. I mean, the CIA was formed in what, like the 50s or 60s?
Yeah. Let me show you. There's a book right here. It's a really good scholarly book on this that came out a few years ago. It's called John Courtney Murray, Time Life Magazine. John Courtney Murray.
He's the guy who he's the guy who started.
No. So the guy who started Time Life Magazine is Henry Luce, and he was a Skull and Bones guy, right?
For sure.
He was OSS Skull and Bones connected, and he recruited the most famous American Jesuit here, John Courtney Murray. This is a giant, like 800 page. He recruited John Courtney Murray to be a operative for the CIA to push the agenda that the CIA wanted in the Cold War. So they basically were successful in utilizing the Jesuits as a tool of soft power. So the kind of soft power institution during the Cold War. Damn. Have you heard of Vatican II? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what Vatican II.
That was the big council that the Roman Catholic Church in the 1960s had to update and change the church. And that whole revolution in the Roman Catholic Church. So
through the CIA. Yeah. So the CIA wanted to change up the Vatican?
Yeah, because there was a lot of policies that stood in the way of what, like eugenics and population control, right? So the Roman Catholic Church was always against contraception and against abortion. And basically the CIA, as you could say, the private army, the Rockefellers, they were always the champions of depopulation, sterilization. I mean, they're really who put Planned Parenthood in every state, right? So the Rockefellers really had a vested interest in utilizing the CIA and these groups to try to change the Roman Catholic Church to make it more amenable to the policies that they, you know, where they wanted to take the world in the New World Order. So that's why the Vatican nowadays is so crazy, with Pope Francis basically doing everything that the World Economic Forum says.
Damn. Now, how do you know specifically how they initially infiltrated the Vatican? Do you know how that worked?
You froze there for a second. Can you repeat that?
I said, do you know how specifically how the CIA infiltrated the Vatican to initially? Like, how did it first happen? Are there any details of how it
there's a whole bunch of really good books on this. So one of the key things is Operation Gladio. So Gladio is the Cold War era stay behind unit set up using the P2 Lodge in Italy, for example.
What's the P2 Lodge? What's that?
It's the fascist lodges throughout Italy, right? So Mussolini tried to stamp out a lot of Freemasonry, but some of the Masonic Mussolini, and they were pro-fascist. And so the CIA set up alliances with those people, and they're known as the P2 Mafia, right? And that was who basically was running Italy. And the top guy in Italy was the highest level Freemason. His name was Licio Gelli. So basically, Henry Kissinger set up a relationship with that guy to pretty much control Italy. So the U.S., the State Department, they pretty much have controlled a lot of the European countries post-World War II. And the way they would do it is through some of these black ops networks that they set up, like Gladio, famous of these. And Gladio was really just a bunch of terror operations, false flags, sabotage, assassinations. And so the reason Gladio plays into this with the Vatican is that the CIA made the deal with the Vatican in the 50s. If you would allow us to, utilize the Vatican Bank for funding different black ops, because the Vatican Bank is sovereign, it's independent, it's one of the most secretive banks in the world. So it's perfect for money laundering. So they were funding black ops and drug operations were funding black ops. The money was going through the Vatican Bank, and it's all called Operation Gladio. And the Vatican, the deal was that if they would go along with the CIA, then they would get money. So this is it's called the Vatican Bank scandal of the 60s and 70s. It's really famous.
Holy shit. I've never heard about any of that.
Yeah,
God,
it was all
damn.
the P2 Mafia, yeah.
Dude, nobody ever talks about that shit. That's fucking huge. The CIA,
it is huge. Well, it's a big part. So this is where we get all the terror training. The terror training that goes on in the School of Americas, and then with ISIS, when the CIA goes and trains, bin Laden and all these people, they're using the model of Gladio. It's the same model.
Holy shit. And now, okay, Gladio, CIA makes a deal with the Vatican, says, hey, let us use your bank. We're going to run some money through it, and you can have some of the money. And the Vatican says, okay. Hell yeah.
CIA also says we're going to make sure that the communist parties in Europe don't win. We're going to use sabotage. We'll use blackmail. We'll use compromise. This is another thing. Sexual compromise was a big part of this operation, too. Brought into the P2 Lodge and in that pyramid structure.
Okay, P2 Lodge again is the Mussolini started that, right? It was
he didn't start it. There was just certain lodges and Freemasons in Italy that were fascist, and some of the Freemasons were not. So Mussolini went after the mafia and the Freemasons because he thought they were a threat to, the power that he was wanting to set up in Italy and the Axis powers. But not everybody in those circles was. So some of those groups were pro-fascist. And so this is because those groups were anti-communist and anti-Soviet, the CIA thought we can utilize and make alliances with those people and with the Vatican. And so this was during the era William Colby, who's the guy behind the Phoenix program, which was the mind control
CIA director.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm familiar with him a little
bit.
Yeah,
so he was stationed in Italy before he became CIA director. He was the CIA station chief in Rome, Catholic, and so he was able to really form a lot of these alliances with Pius XII and with the Vatican Bank. And the promise was that the CIA would aid the Vatican to make sure that communists didn't win any elections, because that would limit the power of the Vatican, especially in Italy. It's kind of a power base in Italy to promote, communism throughout Europe. So that's the rationale behind it. And Kissinger is one of the key figures running a lot of the Gladio operations, all the black ops. But as it's come out, there's Ganser, he wrote his PhD thesis on Gladio, and he points out that actually Gladio was all throughout Europe. Like, it wasn't just Italy. It was a network that was set up to do false flags, black ops, staged operations. It's really run. It's a big NATO black ops thing. So that's how the Vatican, by the way, got compromised in the 50s and 60s, and why they were kind of forced to go along with what the CIA wanted. That's why John Paul II, for example, Kissinger and the CIA directors all the time. And so basically the CIA was just basically telling the Vatican, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And that's how the whole Cold War went down. By the way, speaking of metal, did you know that do you remember that song, Take Me to the Magic of the Moment, the Winds of Change? I hate Scorpions. That song, but you know that was a whole CIA operation, right?
I wouldn't doubt it, dude. That doesn't shock me.
No, this is mainstream, like, tinfoil hat, crazy land. This is mainstream news. If you go
break that down. Hey, hey, Hibbler, can you find Scorpions, Winds of Change? And let's
type in CIA, New York Times, Guardian, it's all mainstream news.
Okay, and then Winds of Change, a conspiracy theory, and then we're gonna hear the song.
You gonna hear me singing that shitty song?
You can sing along with it, but
so the idea was that
don't play yet. Don't. But let's go through the meaning of Winds of Change and how it was used. Scorpions was they were a huge. They're still playing, but they were a huge German heavy metal band. Everybody in metal respected the Scorpions. Everybody. Blackout. When I first heard Blackout, the song Blackout, like in 1980, that song blew my fucking head off my shoulders. That song is so good. I love Blackout. They're a huge fucking band. Saw them live and everything when I was like 13.
You saw them?
What's that?
You've seen Scorpions live? That's crazy.
I've seen Scorpions.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so
break down the song.
Well, you mentioned Kiss earlier. I'm a little fuzzy on this, but I have a pretty good memory. I feel like maybe Kiss's manager, was there a famous manager that managed Kiss?
Bill Aucoin. There, two of them. Bill Aucoin was their first manager. He was huge in TV. Bill Aucoin, that's some shit you need to look into. Bill Aucoin, fuck, the guy who blew Kiss up. Holy shit, that guy, fuck. There's huge. He's dead now. He died of AIDS and shit. Yeah. But after that, I think the next manager was Doc McGee. He's a huge manager too. But I'm not.
That sure. Sounds like who it is. Okay, so Doc McGee, I think that's right. So he was involved, if I recall, in helping to organize this whole operation where, as the Cold War was winding down, certain bands would go and play, and they would have these big kind of psychological warfare operation optics concerts, victory of the West against the Soviets, right? And so Winds of Change was written to be one of the, remember, like Pink Floyd played at the Berlin Wall. Remember that Brick in the Wall, and there's a famous concert where they played when the all that was arranged by the CIA. And if I recall, McGee was actually arranging how all of this would go down, and there was all kinds of other shit going down, like maybe even they were trafficking drugs during these concerts. So sometimes concerts can be covers, just can be covers for intelligence operations too. So if you go deep into the whole Winds of Change and the Cold War concerts, a lot of those were actually organized and set up by the CIA for psychological warfare.
Where do you find out books written about it?
Well, actually, so this was talked about in conspiracy circles for a long time. I don't remember who the first person I bring it up, maybe Dave McGowan, but it's all now in the mainstream. So some mainstream normie, forget the dude's name, something like Patrick Keefe or something like that. He did a whole 8 episode deep dive podcast on this, and it's featured in New York Times, The Guardian. It's all public now because nobody cares about what the CIA was doing in the Cold War now. It gives us a window into how they operate, right, with all the pop culture shit, right? I mean, this is what we've been talking about for so long. They utilize music industry, movies, Hollywood at all different levels.
I'm Eddie Bravo, founder of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu with over 150 schools and over 30,000 soldiers worldwide. Music has always been my deepest passion. Without that musical journey that I took, I probably wouldn't be here right now. I can't tell my music story without having my musical partner my whole life. and best friend, Mr. James Watson.
I said, I want to be in a band no matter what. Oh, well, there it is. I got to move to Los Angeles. I said, I got to go to that place. If this California is supporting metal.
Me and James just started making music. Mastering the Metal, the story of James Watson and Eddie Bravo. Print and audiobook available now.
And this is just one example, one window into how that works.
Can you play the song now? We'll get to the chorus and then we'll cut it. Verse, first chorus, and then cut it. This song was huge. I would be surprised. I would be surprised if like the CIA wrote the lyrics, right?
But I mean, maybe. I mean, if you read the lyrics, it's all about the new age is here, no more tyranny. It's and it almost sounds like kind of new agey, like if you listen to the whole song. Yeah,
that's great. The one thing I remember about this, the singer's name is Klaus Meine, and he would always say in between songs, "How you doing, California? You ready to rock and roll?" He didn't speak perfect English.
Well, that was a good impression.
Are you ready?
You said you couldn't do impressions. That was pretty good.
Oh, I could do one more impression. I could do. It's a German thrash band. The Germans had a thrash scene when thrash exploded in the 80s. They had Sodom, Destruction, and Creator, and the super satanic, super ultra fast Slayer, way more satanic than Slayer. Germans were fucking evil, and I loved that shit. When I was like 15, 16, I fucking loved it. And the singer of Creator, his name was Millie. Barely speak English, but they wrote everything. They had a song called The Pestilence, and it's fucking evil, dog. And I saw him live. They came into LA, played Fender's Ballroom in Long Beach. It's like a capacity of like 1,000 people and shit. And he's like, "This next song, The Pestilence." That's all I can do. The Pestilence.
I like it.
I'm sorry.
Well, so hold on. When you were in a band, did you not sing in the band? Were you just?
I played drums only because none of my friends wanted to play drums. I'm like, we got to form a band. Everyone had a guitar. I go, I guess I'll fucking play drums. So I played drums, because no one else wanted to. But like a kid who just will worship anything that is given to them. Like my brother gave me a Cleveland Indians baseball card. He had a big baseball card collection. And he was trying to humiliate me. He goes, "I'll give you one Cleveland Indians." Never a joke, right? So I became a of the Browns, the Indians, the Cavaliers, everything. I wanted to make my brother regret that, right? So how kids are. So as soon as I got my drum set, I pretended like I wanted to be a drummer my whole life, and drummers are the best. I was like just a complete fucking idiot. But in the beginning, I did try to sing, play drums and sing, because one of my favorite speed metal bands from Canada was a band called Exciter, and their drummer sang. So I thought, okay, I guess Satan's gonna get you, that kind of shit. And then I couldn't pull it off. I couldn't even play drums, and I'm trying to sing. I can't even play drums. I just pretending. So then we ended up getting a singer, and then I didn't sing after and shit. I would like scream in the background,
but you play guitar and stuff too, right?
Yes. What ended up happening was, got on the drums and all that, and I'm like, I'm a fucking drummer. Drummers rule. And I started taking drum lessons. Ryan Johnson, and he had a drum set up in his room. He's like 25 or whatever. And I showed up to his house one day, and I walked into his room, and he had an acoustic guitar laying on his bed. And I was like, it was like I caught him cheating. I was like, the fuck is that doing? What the fuck are you doing? Why say it isn't so? And he looked at me and said, "Hey, listen, in the music business, most drummers are at the songwriter of the band, who's usually the guitar player or the singer. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm going to be the one who writes the songs." And when he said that, that changed my whole life. Right there, he changed my whole life. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna write the music too. Like, and right there at that point, I started playing guitar. And even though I played drums for like the next 10 years, I played guitar also just to write the music.
Yeah.
I would, a typical rehearsal. I'm 17 years old behind my drum set. We're at rehearsal. Guitar player fucks up, and I go get from behind my drum set, and I get his guitar. I'm like, dude, you're going. It's like this. Come on, man, you're playing diggy diggy diggy. And then I'd be yelling at everybody. And then I get, are you ready now? Let's go. So yeah,
so it's all
that changed my life.
Is your whole band, all the band stuff that you did, is it all that like death metal? Is that what you did?
In the beginning, the first like 10 years, all I did was speed metal. And then in 1991, when I was 21, moved to Hollywood, and I go, no more speed metal. So I ended up forming a band, I heard do Bring the Noise. And that was with Public Enemy. So the music was Anthrax, but Chuck D was rapping over it. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? That's what I want to do. So then I started, in 1991. Okay. Linkin Park did it in 2000. I did it in 1991. So people say, oh, ripping off Linkin Park, dog. I was doing that when they were in fucking junior high. So then I slowly, Depeche Mode and The Cure, still held my heavy speed metal roots, that was still in there. It was infused. You could still hear the influences, but man, like I got to the point where I was just so sick of that shit, and I just wanted to hear this like sad music. I just Depeche Mode, The Cure. That was Sisters of Mercy.
Yeah, Depeche Mode's my favorite band.
And then 9 Inch fucking Nails, man. When I heard that, I'm like when metal died, I'm like, that's how metal, like 9 Inch Nails, not like fucking Motley Crue.
So you got into industrial?
Oh yeah, industrial, EDM, electronica, trance, but I still had that super heavy DNA in me. Even in the rap songs that I've done, I've never stopped making music, even though no one wants to hear it. I never stopped making music, but in everything I make, like, and I ended up just making, focusing on. I produced a lot of music with female vocalists, high level female vocals. I got a lot of songs out there. You can find them on YouTube. But mainly, I was doing hip hop, but without that funk or jazz or James Brown or George Clinton sample Marilyn Manson, Depeche Mode, The Cure, and that kind of shit. So if you listen to any of my songs, like if you listen to anything from Smoke Serpent, you go on YouTube, just punch in Smoke Serpent, listen to any of those songs. It's going to be like Sia sample, fucking a Billy Corgan solo album sample, like I said, Marilyn Manson. I wanted to make rap for people that didn't. There's people that they grew up listening to metal and alternative, and they really don't like the funk and and all that shit, soul and all that. I have respect for it, but that's not what I grew up with. I grew up with metal, and goth, wave, and EDM and industrial, and then I just made that rap. So you listen to any Smoke Serpent song, and that's what that is. It's not coming from the James Brown frequency.
You heard any of my?
Damn, I didn't know you made music. You make music?
If you want to call it that.
Oh, wait a minute.
There might be some dispute. Yeah, there might be some dispute as to whether it counts as music.
You got a music video?
I got like 7 music videos.
Best one. Let's play it right now.
Best one. That's a tough one. Maybe. Would you rather hear a rap one or like something like Prince?
Whatever you think is the best one, music.
Okay. Probably the mix. You're gonna be surprised.
What does Hibbler have to look up?
Here you go. Pay Piggy remix. It's right there.
Oh, okay. Play it. Let's hear it.
This is probably everybody loves that one.
Hell yeah, let's hear it. What do you play? What instrument?
I just sing. Okay. Basically, I just improv stupid lyrics over shit. But
okay,
this one's a little different than that.
How old is this?
You're old, I think.
Oh shit! Let's hear it.
Hey Piggy, hey Piggy, don't make me do that 9 to 5. Wage cut ain't no way to be alive. Don't make me go back to 9 to 5. Wage cut ain't no way to be alive. Ooh, hey Piggy, just give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy.
Okay, pause it real quick. Pause it. Jay, it'd be better if you told me what the song. Can you explain the song?
Yeah, I just started cracking up. I started laughing and got myself choked. So this is all just stupid shit where a lot of times on live streams, I just start improv it or singing over just songs like royalty free shit.
Okay.
So this song was joking about how I make a living from super chats. I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase "a pay pig," but basically,
I don't know what pay piggy means.
Okay, so this weird genre of fat chicks that get money where dudes will call in and say, "Ooh, talk down to me," and the fat chick says, "You my slave, my little bitch," and the guy gets off on it. Okay, so it's a weird fetish. It's just
wait a minute.
It's a weird fetish that people started calling. So somebody was making the joke that Jay Dyer's got a bunch of fucking pay piggies in his audience, so he don't have to have a job. Singing about it like, hell yeah, I don't have to have a job. I got pay piggies.
Oh shit, that's perfect.
Give me one, all right, pay piggy. Right. That's how the song happened. And then my buddies are like, "Oh, can we rap over this?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, rap over it." They're actually pretty cool.
Chance, hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one. Ooh.
When I'm with my boo, 1 and 1 miss 2, then it mix free, yeah. Baby, she want Versace, she want Gucci. Gotta lay down all my bands on the Lambo, cause she don't like my Volvo, no. Yeah, she got a diamond grill on her baby teeth. Coolest kid in but you know, I'm not a materialist, an idealist. I flow with the transcendental argument. Reading Wittgenstein, investigate my girl philosophically. You know what I'm saying? I just want the money.
Hey Piggy, give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one.
Yo, straight up, I'm sending to you, girl. I want my heart, want you in my world. I see you in the super chat. I see you wanna go from on the OnlyFans, and you got my heart in your hand. Please don't crush it, girl. Understand that I'm a simp, but I'm proud. I'm a geek, but I'm proud. And I want to feel your breath at a convention. I want my picture of you groping my ass to be on so. I want my friends to see it on Discord. I'm gonna upload it to my subreddit, and they all gonna see it. My friends, they gonna like it, they gonna retweet it. But I think that it's gonna be the greatest moment of my life, and I want you to be a part of it, girl.
Go back to that 9 to 5. Wage cut ain't no way to be alive. Won't make me go back to 9 to 5. Ain't no way to be alive. Ooh. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one
vibe, let me hear you say fuck.
I love it.
That's the Cypress Hill remix done by Eddie Bravo.
Baby needs shoes. Oh shit, man. I just released an album with a bunch of comedy songs as well. I've never really done. I've always written comedy songs, always. Ever like recorded them or like planned to put it out or anything like that. But during the Scandemic, man, you know, there wasn't a lot to do, and it appeared that the world could. I didn't know what the fuck was going on with the Scandemic. I'm like, they look at this. The fucking New World Order is coming out and flexing their shit, closing the world. I want that upper body clench. That's what I'm going after. With the underhook, looking for double underhooks. That's a juicy ass clench. Perfect double underhooks. You're on your side, boom. That's all perfect. That's huge. In my game, for me, I'm like, I got this motherfucker. First fight in Abu Dhabi, 2003, against Gustavo Dantas. I got right in and got perfect double underhooks. I'm like, oh my God, I had him in a lockdown, perfect double underhook, really quick. He just gave it to me. I'm like, and I was just sitting there going, oh my God, he just gave it to me. That was just off a front headlock, 100%. Push into him. You want to smash him and then jump on that leg. You want to rush them so they don't have so they're off balance. You jump on that leg, you hook that leg, you're gonna take their back or put them in the truck. Either one. Does that make sense? They closed the world.
Remember, like right when, like March, when it was really popping off, the supply chains were starting to have disruptions. I remember I've never gone to the grocery store and seen like no meat.
Yeah,
that was crazy. Like we had no steaks, no meat here for the first time ever in my life. I was like, man, this is it. Like I remember thinking in March and April of 2020, I was like, all right, you're right. Yeah, the New World Order is like laid it down.
They came out, dog. They came out. So that freaked me the fuck out. I'm like, dude, this is the shit Alex Jones been talking about.
Yep.
I've been talking about this. Look at the New World Order. They're fucking making their move. Not for 1 second. I'm sure you didn't, but not for 1 second that I think this scamdemic was real. I'm like,
no, fuck. I thought it was bullshit.
You know, we were all like, are they going to do the scamdemic?
Right.
Months before that, like, are they going to fucking do it? Look what's going on in China. They're going to do this shit here. They're going to do it here. That the New World Order. It was so obvious. It was so obvious. And, man, I'm in the jiu-jitsu business, and is the opposite, the complete opposite of social distancing. Social distancing, the fake idea of that, the retarded idea of that is like, stay 6 feet apart so you don't get each other.
Hard to submit somebody 6 feet apart, right?
Yeah, exactly. So jiu-jitsu is not only are we close, but we're trying to be as closer than close. We're squeezing each other as hard as we, drenched in sweat. And then after 8 minutes, you go do the same fucking shit with another random dude. You squeeze the shit out of him, spit's coming out of their spit, there's fucking sweat from another guy, and then that round, and you do another fucking round, you're squeezing and crushing and trying to fucking make dudes tap on, smashing and grinding and crushing, and trying to squeeze the life out of people. And then that round ends, and then you do it again. You know how many people died of COVID in Jiu-Jitsu Association? I got 180 schools worldwide. You know how many people we didn't stop training. You know how many people died?
I'm guessing none.
0. We would have been wiped out. We
if it was real,
we would have been out of the coal mine, right?
Yeah, you'd be out of business. Yeah.
We would have been, jiu-jitsu would have been the first to be wiped out.
Good point.
If I would have saw people dying of COVID in my association, I would have considered an alternate career. I'm like, oh my God, this shit's real. Fucking died. Nobody fucking died. You know when people died? I had some people die after they fucking
after the shot.
After the shot, I had a student die. He had heart problems and he went right to the hospital, and then he died at the hospital.
boomer relatives, family people die.
Yep, my uncle died of a heart attack in his sleep. Nobody wants to believe it was the vaccine. I think it was the vaccine. He took it.
Yeah.
And then in my family, I had, people losing pregnant, people getting hospitalized for weird menstrual shit, a lot of blood clot shit.
Yeah, right.
Myocarditis, all that in my family.
And they all got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My family was they were all into it. They thought I was crazy. So fuck. Yeah. So we had to pretend like we were closed. I closed off the front. Most jiu-jitsu schools fucking papered off the windows. Everybody had to come in through the back door. We were just doing private shit. It was like, okay, we're a private gym now. Fuck. And we never stopped training. We trained every day, but everything was closed. The first 2 months, fucking great. Now I'm so glad we went through that lockdown. We might need another lockdown. Now looking back, shit, during the lockdown, I go, oh my God, is this it? They got us. New World Order got us. They're going to vaccine passports are next. They got us. I thought they got us.
I'm surprised people didn't go for the passports. I thought they would.
Yeah. And now looking back, I'm like, damn, we needed that lockdown. Hell yeah. I would have never changed the fucking thing. That the lockdown did a lot of good things. Mm-hmm. It really exposed who is in a trance, exposed who's hypnotized, and is like, if you're wearing a mask right now, dude,
I still see boomers wearing masks. Exactly.
The only excuse you have for wearing a mask, if you're wearing a fucking mask, like if you're like, you got a bad cold or whatever, and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna wear a mask. I got a bad cold. Whatever. Like, whatever. You're still retarded, but an excuse, right? But if you're wearing a mask right now to prevent yourself from getting sick, you are brain damaged. 100%. Your brain. There's certain parts of the part of your brain that regulates. It's not getting any blood, dog. Yeah. It's black. It's a black little cube in your brain. Not getting any blood, dog. You're not. It's 2023. We went. It's almost 4 years of this shit. You're still with it. Fuck. That's why I'm not even trying to change anybody's minds anymore. I'm like, you know what? You're not even worth.
No, if you don't know by now, there's no hope. It's over. Right?
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not trying to go out there and fuck and trying to change it. Like, you know what? You're on your own. I'm not going to risk my motherfucking life for you motherfuckers. I'll do it like in my podcast. This is where I risk my life. But everywhere else, I'm trying to fucking survive in this world that's run by a cartel. We live in a world run by a cartel. You just can't go out there and just start fucking, gunslinging and start posting shit all over the internet. Like, fuck the cartel. Can you imagine, like the people that live the border cities on the Mexico side, the border cities on the Mexico run by cartels. Mm-hmm. There's no government. It's all cartel run. So you're not going to be living in one of those fucking towns and getting on Facebook and start talking shit on the cartels, and because you'll get killed. Your whole family, your house will get burned down. You can't, right? And that's like the whole world now. Like the United States is the United States is the best minimum security prison in the world. We're the best one. In this prison, they got crazy and they allowed us to have guns. Allowed us to say whatever the fuck we want. They thought it was cute for a couple hundred years. Now they're like, you know what? That's a problem. Let's fucking cut them the fuck off. Let's destroy that country and turn them into all those Latin American countries. Like Latin America. No hope for them. It doesn't seem like there's any hope. It's just completely corrupt, whether it's like just pure corruption politically or cartel corruption all mixed up and melded together. You can't untangle that. And that's what they want in the United States.
For here, exactly.
Yeah. It's the easiest to control. Third world countries that are completely corrupt. Shit. You do whatever the fuck you want in there. Just give them money. Start false flags. rebels that you want, boom, blow up a school, blame it on these motherfuckers, and then fucking
exactly.
It's just it's old school shit. I used to be really into CIA whistleblowers like John Stockwell. I'm sure you know John Stockwell.
These right, like Kiriakou and that dude and NSA whistleblowers. Yeah, there's a
been a whole shit. And have you heard of John Stockwell?
What era was that?
Dude, you need like, to me, I look at you, you know everything Illuminati, everything CIA.
I don't know about that.
I was like,
I don't know who that is.
John Stockwell, dude. He's a CIA. He was in the CIA for 13 years, dude, and he came out. And there's so many videos. They may have scrubbed a lot of his videos.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but he said CIA #1 mission was to control governments, and if they have to fucking assassinate the fucking president, what they do is they attack schools because that really gets everyone's attention. So they
manipulation.
They specifically attack children to get that they weaponize the heart. That's all they're doing. They're weaponizing the heart. So this is John Stockwell. This motherfucker right here. Look at CIA to keep the world unstable and to propagandize and teach the American people to hate. So we will let the establishment spend any amount of money on arms. That's it. Dude, there's so many interviews with this guy, dude. He was in Angola when the CIA was involved in Africa and trying to do
Angola,
For all your 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu merchandise, please visit 10thplanetjj.com/shop. We also got a Look Into It t-shirt that just dropped. Thank you very much for your support.
Oil fields of Angola,
Yeah, this dude is like a big part of that. And he came out and talked a lot of shit. He wrote a book. He has a book about the CIA. I don't know what they did. The CIA sued him and took all the money and the profits from the book. I think, look.
In Search of Enemies.
That's it, dude. Right there, dude. Dude, you've read every fucking book, dude. That book, book, John fucking Stockwell.
I'm writing it down right now,
Former chief CIA Angola task force. Dude, you can watch YouTube videos. Did they
now that I think, you know what? I did a live stream maybe a couple months ago, and I played a clip about in Angola, and he was in that clip, now that I remember. I know
here he is right here.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Click, that's on YouTube? That's on C-SPAN. Holy shit.
Bad news.
Like, just go right to the middle of it, right to the middle of the conversation, or they're making us watch some bullshit. Okay, here we go. Let's just see what he says for like 10 seconds. There's Tartaria.
Our case study is because it's just particularly useful of all the hundreds of CIA operations dissect. And mind you, Angola is in the news. And I was once chief of the Angola task force on a subcommittee of the National Security Council called the Interagency Working Group, commanding, although I was working closely under the supervision of Jim Potts and Henry Kissinger and the CIA Director Bill Colby. And Angola is very much in the news, and Savimbi was just in town, and I'm also clearly tempted to talk about Angola. But Nicaragua is a better example, because it's closer to the United States culturally and physically, because this covert action destabilization that we've run against Nicaragua has been open on both ends. Usually these things are closed. Usually our government is covering them and hiding them to the greatest degree it can, and the country we're attacking is hostile and paranoid and seals its borders. In the case of Nicaragua, until last year, until quite recently, it had a policy of remaining open. Anyone from the states who wanted to go down and have a look could do so without getting a visa. Meanwhile, in Washington, the thing was debated for more aid and details of the aid and abuse of the aid and the little gradations of rules we put on how the aid could be spent. So we knew it from both ends. And during the entire period of the 80s, I was traveling back and forth from Washington to Nicaragua, informing myself to assess this thing, and also using the material in my lectures. Also, unlike Angola, there was never a chance in Angola that we would make it into another Vietnam, putting in U.S. troops seriously, and this possibility in Nicaragua during the mid-'80s. It's a remote possibility today. The U.S.
Okay, cool. We're good.
How to fix it.
We're good. Yeah.
When I did my live event in LA, I got to have dinner with a guy who was kind of a government connected lawyer that was working in Brazil for the last 10 or 15 years. And he was telling us the whole story of car wash scandal. Have you ever heard of that?
No, explain it.
You should look that up. It's the most famous like modern scandal of government corruption like in the modern world, that these two Bonneville and genius guys had constructed this for how to corrupt and control an entire government through compromise and through money laundering. It's insane, like the level of complexity that these guys had come up with. Anyway, the guy that we were having dinner with was explaining the that he had spent in Brazil prosecuting and investigating this huge corruption scheme. But it's another example of how these operations are run. When we were eating, I said, so this sounds to me like the way that Operation Vatican Bank was structured. And he said, absolutely. It's the exact same structure. It utilized a lot of sexual compromise too, I think. And so you start to notice patterns, right? Like the Epstein stuff and the way the Brazilian car wash scandal worked. It's only called the car wash scandal because some ended up unraveling the whole thing by accidentally leaving a car at a car wash that was some person in the big giant pyramid scheme's car. So it had nothing to do with car washes, but this car was picked up and they thought, oh, somebody stole this car. It ended up being like the thread that unraveled this gigantic corruption scheme. So long story short is that like what the CIA and these various operations and organizations do is they study at an in-depth level, how all of these like black ops and like corruption works, and then they can manage the corruption. So basically you get a PhD in crime and then you learn how to manage and steer the crime. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but with blackmail, right? I mean,
with all of it.
Yeah.
Blackmail, money laundering, like it's basically a giant business, right? With all the black market businesses that you corporation.
Yeah, you know what
Crime Inc. How's that?
Yeah. You know, the CIA is allegedly, they're running drugs and to pay for black ops, correct?
Yeah.
When you have that kind of money, that black money, like a lot of it, when you're getting when you're doing this operation, a lot of that money got to be stolen by just certain individuals, right? There's all this dark money, it's
right.
unaccounted for,
right?
They're raising the money for an operation, but people in that circle
will steal.
Fucking dark and corrupt and greedy anyways. They must be stealing shit like
all the time.
They must be backstabbing each other all the time.
Dude, the FTX, like the FTX, right? So how
explain that to me. I barely understand fucking crypto. Is it crypto? The FTX was that crypto thing?
Yeah, it was a crypto exchange, but it was just a big kind of a front for funneling money to Democratic Party people
who are going to steal most of it anyways.
Yeah, and
you know when they
were people at different levels were stealing the money.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's like everywhere. It's like you want to raise money. You want to raise money to do a certain thing in fucking Chile. Damn, you raise this money in a dark way. Drugs, guns, human trafficking.
Exactly.
And the people involved are going to steal it. So we're trying to do this criminal operation, but the criminals in the operation keep stealing it. Right?
Well, that's the problem working with criminals, right? Yeah.
Dude, I bet, when a certain operation is pushed, drugs and running guns to make this, there's got to be, it's like they got to know, okay, in this operation, we want to do this. We got to raise this amount of money because if we raise this amount of money, about 90% of it's going to get stolen. So we need to raise this.
Already figure into it the amounts of
and then we're going to have to kill like fucking 10 people along the way that stole money and we blast them. And it's part of it. Like they're getting blasted. There's this one mercenary. His name is, maybe you heard of him. Corey Snodgrass, I think. Corey Snodgrass or something like that. He's on, there's all these interviews of him. He says that when he gets offered an assignment, it's usually international. It's never domestic. And he said, I had no problem doing whatever. They give me $1 million. I'll go, you want in fucking South Africa. He didn't give a shit. He was former military, sniper type guy, special forces. They hire motherfuckers. Because I was a trained mercenary. And he said anytime he accepted a job, he knew he had to allocate like $100,000 for his protection. So he would go out and do his job, but he'd have like 2 guys flanking him and protecting him just in case it was a double cross.
Oh, wow.
Because nobody trusts anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Operations. But like, you never know if am I going to be the patsy? Am I being set up? You know what I mean? You never know if you're being set up. So you have to spend some of that money they give you for your own protection. How crazy is that?
And then them dudes have to get bodyguards.
Totally. Yeah, right.
Infinite body. Do you know who Sammy the Bull is? Sammy the Bull Gravano.
Yes.
Yeah, we've done a bunch of interviews and podcasts, and he describes his because he was John Gotti's hit man, so he describes it like that too. He's like,
wait, you had him on your podcast?
No, I've been on his podcast like 5 or 6 times, but what I'm saying is that in the interviews, like he describes what you're talking about. Like, you know, he's like, we knew there was going to be people stealing. We had to fucking prepare for that, deal with that.
You got a good Italian mobster, dude. That's a good one.
Well, I've talked to him about 20 hours straight. So
what do you think the chances of me getting him on my podcast?
Oh, he'll do it. I mean, he's usually.
Dude, if you can make that happen, dog. If you can make that, dude, Sammy the Bull Gravano, I would love that. That would be insane.
You want me to ask him?
Fuck yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you. So
they did an Alex interview. I did it with him and Alex. That shit was wild, dude. It was
him
both
and
of
Alex
them.
Jones?
It was me, Sammy the Bull, and Alex.
On whose show?
On Sammy's show.
Damn. So Sammy had you and Alex Jones at the same time?
And it was crazy, yeah.
Whoa, I wonder.
It was basically just me sitting there listening to them two like tell crazy stories.
Oh, so. Yeah. Alex, he's worse than me. Holy shit. Dude, what is going fucking on? Freemasons or Zionists?
Freemasonry has a lot of Judaic influence. So there's a lot of already kind of Jewish elements in.
So Freemasons already got that Zion.
Kind of, yeah. I think Zionism is like, in my view, it's like a experiment in a form of Marxism, socialism that was like an atheistic version of Judaism. So when Theodor Herzl, those guys set up their idea of the ideal secular Jewish state, it was like, isn't that where the kibbutz and the socialist setup in Israel comes from? So I think it's another form of Marxism that always pushed. Like they always push socialism, Marxism for the most part. They'll use capitalist money to fund, the promotion of socialism, Marxism. So I think that pretty much they're kind of like attached at the.
Confuse the shit out of me, dog.
What?
It's like it's why I asked, like, wait, who's running the world? Fucking Freemasons? What is it? The Freemasons or is it the Zionists? Like, so because like during COVID, you everywhere, everything, 33 new cases. That's a total of 33 COVID cases, 33 COVID all over the world. So to me, I'm like, damn, this is a Freemason operation. That's so obvious. And then all the fake moon missions that were all Freemasons and shit. You hear Zionists run everything. So I'm like, who's more powerful, the Zionists or the Freemasons?
But if you look at the history of Freemasonry and Zionism, they both have a lot of things in common. They're both kind of at the highest level, somewhat atheist. they all promote kind of a form of revolutionary socialism and Marxism. So, I mean, Marxism wouldn't have been successful without Freemasonic lodges pushing and promoting revolutions the last 200 or 300 years. So I think they're basically on the same team. That's what I'm trying to.
Okay, yeah, it's so confusing. And then you know what else is confusing? You're talking about Mussolini against communism and fascism. Like communism, fascism, they're fighting against each other? It seems like communism is evil and fascism is evil, but they're fighting. And then Muslims again, like the Muslim Brotherhood, Obama, Muslim Brotherhood. But I thought Zionists were controlling everything. But don't Zionists hate Muslim Brotherhood? How is Obama Muslim Brotherhood? Shouldn't he be a Zionist too? Isn't like I'm so confused with the Islam versus the Jews versus Christianity, communism, fascism. Like what? Like I honestly am confused with all that. Shouldn't fascism and communism, shouldn't they be like best friends? What's the difference?
I mean, they have the same funders, so I would say, yeah, at the end of the day, they're kind of all funded very, very wealthy families that push these things as ways to control different areas. And a key to understanding that is that, you can have a managed dialectic of two oppositional things that are controlled. In fact, book, like the last book he wrote before he passed away, and the very last page, he says that the key to controlling stabilizing the world is having a managed opposition between two sides, right? Versus the West. And he says, if you manage this conflict, you can control the world, basically. So I think that you apply that same principle to the Cold War or to, the World War I, World War II. They're they're conflicts that are managed at a higher level by extremely wealthy people. That's how I view it.
Damn, that's what I'm thinking too. That's what I'm thinking, because I'm thinking like, people are like, oh, Trump is he's playing a part. Trump is Zionist shill. It's all theater. And I'm thinking, really? All that, like the Russian collusion and the crossfire, FISA application, the that's all fake, and all these indictments, that's all fake. To me, that's not all fake. It's
not fake. It's real stuff happening, but that doesn't mean
like they really want to destroy Trump.
Yeah, I think so.
They really do. So yeah, me too. So,
but that doesn't mean Trump has it all figured out, and like he might be duped at a certain level too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think it could be that at the highest level, like the government above the government, the real government at the top, like the government that's running the lakes, like all the lakes. There's Lake Earth, lake over there, lake. We're on lakes. So there's got to be like, how do you manage all the fucking lakes that we're on? So maybe they're like, oh, maybe every country was always looked at by the highest level, the politicians that we never reptilian. Who fucking knows? Who's running the lakes is what I want to know. Those motherfuckers probably like look at Lake Earth or Earth Lake, and every country is just a different prison with a different style. Mm-hmm. And then maybe like the people at they were like, you know what? Let's level the United States. That experiment, that was cute, but let's level it. And this is how we level it. We give all the dirt from the left, because the left are both corrupt, but they're not equally corrupt. That's impossible for them to be equally corrupt. The left is more corrupt than the right. Right's still corrupt, but the left is more corrupt because the left is all about, free sex and drugs. Just do whatever the fuck you want, free love, and easily corrupt. No God, God.
Yeah,
how could God have people suffer? New age. Fuck whoever you want. Dude, I grew up. I thought I was on the left because they did a good ride at demonizing the right. Because the right's it's harder to corrupt. Even Ronald Reagan said, he goes, hey, if if fascism or communism infiltrated into the US, they would, because it's easier, right?
Yeah.
So, but you coming through the left, but you still want to fuck up the right. So you send, that's what rhinos are. Rhinos are to fuck up the right. Right's a little bit harder to corrupt a little bit because they're more family values.
There's some principle, yeah.
Yeah, more family values. And Christianity, live like Jesus, you know, and then, so it's a little bit harder to corrupt. They still blackmail those motherfuckers too. They're still corrupt.
Right.
But you coming through the left, so easy. That's just so easy. And you send undercover motherfuckers in the right to fuck that up too. Look at George Sr. George Sr. came in and goes, you know what? I'm gonna fuck this up. George Sr., I think George W. was specific to destroy the right. Just because during George W., nobody in their 20s would ever consider themselves like a Republican.
No, because everybody thought he was complete. Because he acted retarded. I mean, he acted.
And
remember all the dumb shit. He would come out with calendars of all the stupid shit that Bush said. There were so many
posters. Like
you could
55
you had a, remember those tear off calendars? I had a Bushism calendar because he said so many dumb things. There was 365 of them. You could tear them off every day.
Yeah. So now, the Bushes, like George Sr. was probably like one of the top dogs. He was
he was a
controller.
Yeah, he was like he ran the CIA for a year.
Yeah. And Prescott Bush, his father, formed the CIA. Father got busted for funding the Nazis. That's fucking public record through the Union Bank. He's a banker. George Sr.'s father is an international banker. Got busted funding the Nazis. No one brings that shit up. And then he comes in as a Republican, and dude, they demonize, self-sufficient people. Like when we get back to movies now, like Deliverance. Deliverance to me was specifically designed to demonize.
Psyop against.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's definitely propaganda against self-sufficient people.
Well,
and the hillbillies.
I'm from the South. So if you're from the South, and by the way, we do have a lot of retarded in the South. That does exist. But like you're saying, the reason that they demonize people from the South is, you're all racist, you're all inbred. It's not like that, but they do that because this is really the heart of like what America, with the basic stuff you're talking about, like with family, Bible Belt, all that stuff. They have to destroy that. Yeah,
that you can't have that in the New World Order. You can't have family's not good for the New World Order.
No,
family means you have you will die for and you will kill for, and
other allegiances. Yeah,
they want their slaves to not have anybody that they would die for, not anybody that they would kill for. Those are the easiest to control. Easy. So families are are no good for the New World Order. They figured that shit out. So like Deliverance, holy shit. Well, how do they portray self-sufficient people? Made them hillbillies, made them retarded as fuck, and made rapists that were fucking in the ass in that movie. The worst thing that could happen, getting raped by another man in your butthole. That's top 3 worst things that could happen to you without, outside of getting killed. Yeah, that's that thing that'll ruin your goddamn life.
But that's what Southern people are up to, right? We're just pumping butts all day, and we're churning out retards and playing banjos. That's all we do.
Yeah. So I'm not claiming Republican or conservative, but gun to my head, like today, shit, I'm fucking Republican, dog. Gun to my head, because the left is just completely lost their.
They're insane.
Either what's going on and you're an evil piece of shit, or you just got fooled and you're not paying attention and you just listen to headlines on MSNBC and you think you're doing the right thing. And I still love you. Eventually you got to figure this shit out, man. Eventually.
Or in like a trance, though, like a literal trance.
Yes, they're in a
something going on.
I would always say that because I didn't want to say, like when I'd be on Joe Rogan's podcast, you could find Joe Rogan episodes from like 8-10 years ago, and I didn't want to say these zombie sheep. I would just say most of the people, they're just in a trance, man. They're hypnotized. I would say that to be nice, so I wouldn't get attacked. I didn't really think they were in a trance, but it just seemed like they were. But I'm like, they can't really be. Like, that's the nicest thing to say. You're just like, you can't see it in front of your face. You don't see what's going on in front of your face. I have Russian students that are like, that during the Scandemic in 2020, they were like, dude, people can't see what's going on. This is all communist shit. And like the Russians, oh, dude, they're doing that shit here. You know, so, fuck was I just saying? I forget.
That movies demonize anybody who wants to be self-sufficient or from the South or whatever.
Yeah. And the hypnosis. So then, just recently, like a year and a half ago, Robert Malone and then someone else also goes on Joe Rogan's podcast, and they're trying to figure out like how people can't figure out what's going on, how they're so brainwashed. Yeah, and Robert Malone said, "Yeah, it's
mass formation psychosis."
Exactly. Mass formation psychosis. And I'm like, oh my God, I was just kidding. I mean, to me, they're like, but they can't really be in a trance. I really didn't think about it. But it turns out that's exactly what it is. They are in a trance. They are hypnotized. Because people can be hypnotized. A certain percentage of the population can be hypnotized. I mean, it's like the scam hypnotist shows. Are the scammers, like, you know, they did before the show, they fucking test out people in the studio audience and they find the guys that are easily hypnotized. Yeah, there's a certain percentage of people who get hypnotized. That's what the motherfuckers go, that guy, and that guy, boom, they bring them up and then they do the show and they get paid. But the point I'm making is a certain percentage. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's 20, maybe it's 30, maybe it's 40% of the population are easily hypnotized. Right. And when you're hypnotized, wake and you don't even know you're hypnotized. You're like going through your day, going to your job, pick up your kids, and you're hypnotized. You could totally be. So that's a fact. So, you know, once Robert Malone made that announcement, I'm like, oh my God, kidding, but it's real. Holy fuck, makes sense. Because I mean, it's so obvious that the New World Order is making its move, and it's so obvious. I mean, all the fucking that guys, what the fuck? Like, nobody's into that. Nobody is for that. Nobody's for that. You know, and
but but I mean, I think you have to be in some kind of under some sort of powerful delusion, like, you know, the Bible talks about a powerful delusion in 2 Thessalonians going on inside of you to where, you know, you're talking about stuff being in front of your face. I mean, if you read 1984, there's that chapter where they talk about how he will make Winston not just say that 2 + 2 is 5, actually believe that no, 2 + 2 does actually equal 5. Yeah. Right. And if you go back to like Bertrand Russell's books, the reason that Orwell put that in the book was that he knew that people like Bertrand Russell actually had a real plan to convince people that Russell says this in his book, Impact of Science on Society. He says that the future dictatorship will be able to convince people that 2 + 2 is 5, that white is black, the sky is purple, like whatever they affirm it, because they just default to whatever the power structure says. So like it's this weird thing where you can actually convince those people that they will convince themselves of the thing they know deep down is a lie. That's
I would like to know like how the written process of that. Like, first, this is what you got to do. You got to start them at the age of 2.
Yeah,
you know, boom, kindergarten, like right away.
Exactly.
And then boom, and like there's a process that they run them through.
There is, yeah, but there's, like you said, it's a percentage of the population. I think the percentage is like 20-ish that can be easily.
They figured it out.
But they figured out that you can, and then and the more that they push all of the toxic, you know, culture, food, and the vaccines, and the, you know, the water with all the chemicals in it, like that just lowers the IQ to produce more of the people that can be in that mass of people that are complete zombies. So I think they think they can get like this massive horde of zombie people that'll just do whatever they're told. And it looks like, I mean, that's pretty much true. Like there is a sizable portion of the population that will literally believe whatever they're told, and they'll double down no matter what.
It's incredible. It's
crazy.
Yeah. Like I know mainstream media in regards to news has taken a gigantic hit and they're like losing a lot of money. Look what's happening at CNN. Everybody getting fired. All those motherfuckers got fired. You know, CNN got related. So it's obvious that there is a trend towards the destruction of the mainstream media. There is, but will it completely get? I mean, be a time where on TV there's actual real news, because right now on TV and on cable TV, all the cable TV and all the regular TV, it's all taken over, right? There's nothing real.
No, I mean,
there's nothing.
No,
there's no cable channel that's like InfoWars, right?
No, it's all 100% fake bullshit.
100%. All, and it seems like it's going under. I bet TV is probably like a black op. Like they can't be making any money. Like the only thing TV is good for is live sports. That's it. That's the only time I ever watch regular TV. But like I said, I like to get stupid and watch football, and that's like my meditation.
Dude, so like we don't watch TV ever, and I don't even watch sports just because I'm not really into sports. But so isn't it funny? Watch like what the average population watches on TV. Like the craziest part is the ads.
Oh my God.
The ads not blow your mind how crazy that shit is.
Dude. And basically every commercial now at this point, it's like every commercial is there's a reason for it. Even like Chili's commercials, because you'll watch an NFL game and they'll have an Applebee's commercial. I'm like, damn, Applebee's, what do you guys have to do with this shit? Like the people that are at the top of Applebee's probably have something to do with some shit. You know what I mean?
All the Fortune 100, Fortune 500, like they all are all part of the same shit, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can watch Applebee's and they'll be like, you know, they'll, I don't know why this is. I think this maybe they just psychologically figured out that you can tie basic desires like sexuality to food, but a lot of the food commercials are basically just about fucking. Have you noticed that? It's like food commercial, whether it's Burger King or whatever, it's all about sex. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, explain that, like your average Burger King commercial. How do they work sex into that?
They just imply it with all of these subliminals. They imply it with a lot of the imagery. I mean, it's like, I don't want to get, but it's like, I mean, every fast food commercial I've seen, at least the last 5 years, is some kind of nasty. I mean, sometimes it's geared towards lower ethnic communities, shall we say, where they target McDonald's to, you know, poor black people, who I guess makes up the majority of McDonald's, I don't know, market share. But I mean, so many of these commercials are like, Burger King. Here's one. This is the one I'm thinking of right here. The
burger you can fuck. This burger is better than sex. Fuck this burger. Only at Burger King you can stick your dick in this burger.
So that's a dude making my point. That dude's making my point. I'm not the only person that thought that. I'm not the only person that thought that.
I want to watch that whole thing. Here, play that whole.
Brand new burger you can fuck. This burger is better than sex. You can fuck this burger. Only at Burger King you can stick your dick in this burger. Your balls will explode, guaranteed. You can come inside, outside, and all over the new Burger King burger. Make your skin soft and your asshole tight. Our estrogenizing burgers will give you tits the size of basketballs, and that's no cap. Have it your way at Burger King, where your stupid asshole gets fucked 6 ways from Sunday.
Dude, that is hysterical.
I'm not the only person to think that. Then see that dude made my point right there.
Yeah, there you go, dude. And you know what the commercials trip me out? Obviously, the obvious ones. I mean, are the big pharma commercials. Every commercial.
Break, those are the craziest.
It's like I said this about a year ago, and I noticed this about a year ago. Is football, they know they got everybody because they must know that nobody's watching regular sports. So they save all the good shit for football and baseball. Yeah, they save all the good shit for that. And the one thing I don't get maybe you can help me with this. They have a lot of Army commercials, Army recruiting commercials. And you would think now they would want less recruits and illegal, like Chinese, to be in the Army, because that's what they're pushing recently. Like today they're pushing, let's allow illegals to join our Army because nobody wants to join the Army. I think they like it that nobody wants to join the Army, because generally when people join the Army, they're kind of paid corrupt at that point, you know. So I think they're finding out that, damn, that could be dangerous, having an army with Trump supporters. That's not good. So they would rather have an army with illegals that don't have any bond or loyalty.
Well, that's what Urban, that totally corrupt dude, he was just saying that. He's like, we need to have a program to put all of these valiant foreigners into the military, because that's who they want to basically. They're gonna turn them on the population.
Oh yeah. So you would think like the plan. We can't trust having like patriots in the Army because we need them to fucking shoot their own people. So we need to get in, you know, military age men through the southern border. So when I see the commercials of the Army and they're trying to recruit people, I don't get it. You would think that they wouldn't even put Army commercials. You would think that they were like, let's not even bring up the fucking military and let's let everybody quit, get the patriots out of the military and bring in the Chinese, the Middle Eastern guys, so that we could, you know, if we needed to turn the Army against American citizens,
I think they're just not at the point where they can do that yet, where they can like literally fill the military with you know, foreign. If they could, they would. I just think they're not at that point yet. But I was talking to a prominent former military person the other day, and he was talking about how pathetic it is that the enrollment is so low that they're having to go back to trying to good old boys and Americans in the military because nobody else will do it. So they're having like a crisis of you know, figuring out what to do. But I mean, do you remember even the CIA? They're all putting out all these woke ads, like, you know, the true CIA person. That's the it's like the ads are all the real true American is this Baphomet trans goblin. And who would want to fight for that? Like, nobody wants to fight to make sure that people in other countries can have butt sex. I'm not dying for that, but that's literally what they're pushing. You're going to go die so people can have, you know, gay sex.
You mean
who wants to die for that?
Like
I don't want to die for that.
Like, remember those more people? We do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day and all that shit. Yeah. Those commercials, I'm like, if the plan is to turn the military against its own people, that ad to me doesn't, like, that's not a good ad. That ad, there should just be straight up just start programming motherfuckers like that. We got our enemy is within. We can't have a democracy with our inner problems. We must extinguish like the extremists within.
That was part of what that's part of what the shots were for. Did you hear that there was like a Navy dude the other day talking about how the Navy has been decimated by, you know, the shots. So maybe the shots were to get rid of who was remaining in the military that was loyal.
Totally. I mean, I could see that. That's a good strategy. That's a good Illuminati strategy. You know, boom, you know, it's obvious that the whole purpose was to inject people with shit that either kills them or slowly. Some people are gonna die. But at the very least, if you don't die, you're gonna need some pharmaceuticals for the rest of your goddamn life.
Yeah.
So it
that's what I'm going to ask you. Do you know about like how there's the analysis batches that were placebos and all that kind of stuff, and then and then
the
there's
guy from New Zealand. He's talking about how this batch had 400 jabs and 78 people died, and this batch had 300. And fucking 50 people died. A lot of people were dying. And I think like the death is like, they factor that in. They're like, we really just want to fuck people up. But in the process, the people that are already fucked up, they're going to die. So
that's what I was going to ask you with the idea that they sent out a lot of placebos, or do you think that, or do you think that like in the next 5 years, we're going to see like a shit ton of people die like years later from being inoculated?
I think both. But I think you can't have everybody getting fucked up. You can't have everybody. You got to have the people that, hey, I got shot and I'm fine. You know, you need those people too. You know what I'm saying? Maybe.
Yeah.
I think if I was in the Illuminati roundtable and they wanted to hear my opinion on how to do this, I would agree with that. If someone said, yeah, we'll have like 30 or 40% of the batches are gonna fuck people up, and some people, but at the very least, we're gonna have some organ failure, we're gonna have some cancers and all that shit, and 40%, and then 60% placebo, because then we need a bunch of people saying, oh, it doesn't do nothing, it doesn't do, I'm fine, look at me, I'm fine. And that's a good idea. And then, you know, why don't we just make them all every vial poisonous? And then if someone would say, dude, that'll fuck everything up. That'll pull, no one will have any faith. We still need, we don't need to fuck everybody up, just a certain. That's my guess. I would think that was a good idea. Put some placebos, especially for like politicians and the elite. You know what I mean? You know, certain people. Like I bet the professional basketball players, hockey players, all the professional organizations, I bet they gave them placebos, because like the owners,
think so?
I think the owners were like, you know what, we don't want to fuck up our own players.
That a lot of the placebos that were in the military, that the placebos went to the officers and the underlings got the jab.
That's a good idea for me. That's a good Illuminati idea. If you can conceive the Illuminati idea, it makes sense, and they're probably doing it. They probably already figured that shit out, right? I mean,
absolutely,
yeah. It's just like, and the gall of them pushing mandates and more vaccine. Like, oh, we got a new one. Like the craziest commercial. The craziest commercial right now during every football game, they're going to play this one at least twice, is a famous football player, Kelsey. I forget his first name, but he's a tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. The guy that's going out with Taylor Swift. You know that guy, right?
Okay, yeah.
That's a big thing. Like Taylor Swift is dating a guy on the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, and she's all at all play Monday Night Football. They show her up in the press box, and Taylor Swift's huge. Probably the biggest rock star in the lake. So he's got a commercial, dude, and the commercial where they're talking about, hey, do 2 things at once. Get your flu shot and your COVID shot at once. Now we offer it at once. You get 2 for 1. And then Kelsey goes, two things at once? Oh man, that's like doing this. Transport him into whatever he said, and 2 things at once, that's like doing this and that. And then now he's getting a massage and on his laptop or whatever. It's all about doing 2 things at once. And you're like, play the commercial, play this commercial, play the whole thing. Look at this.
Stephen's COVID-19 shot when you get your flu shot.
2 things at once. 2 things at once. 2 things at once. I'll have 2 things at once, please. Now that's once. 2 things at once. That's not 2 things at once. Mom.
Travis, ask about getting this season's COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot.
Dude, how genius. In the middle of all this shit, people dying all over the world. You go on Instagram at died suddenly worldwide, died suddenly. Follow that shit every day. People dying all over the place. Mainstream, people are dying at an alarming rate. A cancer, 1,000,000%. Heart failure, 1,000%. Everything's up with insane numbers. People are dying all over the place. Not a peep from the mainstream media. And they're like the powers that be, the control, way more evil than I ever imagined.
Yeah,
they're totally fine with genocide, mass genocide. They don't give a fuck. I used to think like, companies gave a, like pharmaceutical companies gave a fuck. They don't give a fuck. So when they do, like any pharmaceutical you take, damn, whoo, Any pharmaceutical you can take might cause some serious damage to you, and they don't give a. We saw this with the jabs. Look at everybody that's dying. People dying all over the fucking place. Young people, old people, they're dying at an alarming rate, but no one gives a fuck. All these young.
Well,
people,
I mean, that's I'll lecture through a lot of the books of the elite. We've done about, I don't know, 50 or 60 of them by now, and that way you can't say I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I'm just going from their books. And one thing that's a commonality across all of those texts is that you have to believe in population reduction. So, I mean, they've been saying that for at least 100 years, that population has to come down drastically. So, it's been in the text for 100 years. Now we're actually seeing it roll out. Like you said, it's not a joke, man. Like, these people believe in a death cult.
Yeah. Scary shit, man. It's way scarier than I thought before. I'm like, damn. I used to.
Was it COVID that convinced you of that, or?
Yeah. I've been a conspiracy theorist for a long time, but when the Scandemic hit, I'm like, not only did it confirm that there is a new world order, now, dude, they're fucking emerging, spreading their wings now. They closed the whole fucking world.
Yeah.
You couldn't go to the fucking beach. That's worse than New World. That's worse than communist country. Can't go to the beach. Like, if you went to the beach, you'd get arrested, and you had to have a mass walk. Like, it was crazy. Everything was closed.
Was it the or Australian? Remember the woman who was like, "Don't go outside. Don't talk to your neighbors. Don't look at the sun." Don't look at the sun. Yeah. That's the craziest shit I've ever heard. Don't look at the sun.
Yeah. So there's people. There's most people running the governments of all countries. They don't give a fuck that you die. They can give a fuck. They don't care about nobody. It's like, and 100%. Like, Big Pharma is scarier than ever to me now. It's scarier than the hospitals. Ooh, shit. Hospitals, like, damn, they're a fucking racket. Hospitals are corrupt.
It's a giant racket. Yeah. I remember Alex talking about that, like, talk about how hospitals are corrupt. And I remember him saying that some of them would even kill you for organ trade.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. Alex said that 20 years ago, and I remember thinking, dang, that's crazy, dude. They can't be that corrupt. But now, after, I mean, they'll kill your grandparents and get what, like $50,000. So yeah.
So it's like, if it's, everybody knows, and it's a fact that the hospitals are getting paid a certain amount of money, in the thousands, for COVID diagnosis and COVID deaths, and for putting them on respirators and doing all this shit. And if they died and you put COVID on their death certificate, some people say 30K or something, even if it's 10K, even if it's 30K was an exaggeration. Okay. You're still getting paid for COVID deaths. Of course they're going to put COVID death, and it's a fact. Everybody knows this, unless you got your fucking head in the sand and up your ass at the same time, that people were dying, and
they put COVID.
They put COVID on their death. I mean, that's a fact, and it makes sense. It makes sense. It's brilliant. Get the hospitals involved. You want numbers? You want to pull the scamdemic off? You want to know? You got to pay the hospital. Get them in on it. You got to get them in. The hospitals got to be in on it. So if that's smart and it's brilliant, it's genius, then wouldn't it be smart and genius to maybe break off a little bit to nurses and shit? You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be smart? That would be smart. If I was sitting in the Illuminati table, I'd be like, dude.
Well, one thing that was really genius too was that they knew that, especially for boomers who basically worship doctors, they think doctors are like God, right? They were programmed with that, raised with that propaganda to not question doctors. People, our age, younger, we don't listen to fucking doctors. We think they're idiots. They don't even know what organic food is, right? I remember doctors are fat and smoke cigarettes, right? Listen to doctors, but boomers, they'll do whatever the doctor says, right? And I think they knew that, and that's why they were able to use the medical system as one of the key ways to kind of, in a back doorway, like slide in a lot of this New World Order stuff. And actually, the books that I've read and lectured through, the writings of the elite, where they talked about one of the best ways to bring in this socialist technocratic government would be through medicine. And that's actually what the Bolsheviks did, that, and mental health, to bring in a lot of their tyranny. Because if the government declared you, mentally unfit, they could commit you to an insane asylum and brainwash you, right? So medicine is one of these key factors a lot of people overlooked. A lot of people were thinking, oh, it's going to be troops on the streets and, the hard hand fist of the government, the boot on your neck. But it's actually, medicine's a much better way to bring in this stuff.
Yeah, man. And, again, if it's smart, hospitals per COVID death, there's going to be a lot of COVID death. They're making money. Then it would be smart to break off, like, whatever. I'm sure there had to be at least one hospital out there where the head of that hospital, whatever they call him, the CEO or the administrative chief or whatever the fuck the main guy is in that hospital, for him, it would be smart also to break off the nurses. Like, any COVID death, I'm going to give you $500 bonus. You know what I mean? And the nurses, nobody's used to death and dying people more than nurses. They deal with people dying all the time. So at a certain point, you got to get a little callous to it, right? They can't just.
Well, they're also brainwashed. It's basically the big pharmaceutical corporations that create and write the textbooks for the doctors and the nurses. Yeah. So they're just reading and taking in the information that literally, like, Pfizer and big pharmaceutical companies have written. That's who writes and promotes the textbook. So I used to date a girl for several years that was a nurse, and she was Vanderbilt trained nurse, which is a prestigious medical school in Nashville. And we used to go back and forth all the time, like, arguing over this stuff. I was always trying to convince bad vaccines are bad, and she would never accept it because, I'm just her idiot boyfriend, right? She's going to the prestigious school with the, fancy textbook and all this. But I was right. You know what I mean? Like, all of that stuff totally controlled, and it's all part of a death cult. Like, the pharmaceutical corporations are near the top of the pyramid. I mean, that's who developed, all the MK Ultra stuff was being done for Sandoz Pharmaceuticals, right? I mean, the CIA, to promote it, but they used Sandoz Pharmaceuticals to do that. Yeah. To create it.
I bet there's at least one nurse that, probably just got sick of some old patients in hospice. Bitter, like, I told you I wanted.
I'm gonna trade you in for $500. I just write code.
I told you I wanted apple juice. You give me orange juice. You piece of shit. And then the nurse is like, you know what?
COVID
grabs a pillow and fucking holds that pillow. That fucking monitor. Boom, 500. Right? Why not? Fucking asshole patient talking shit, trying to feed you, bitch. Now you're dead, and I got $500. Oh man, you're talking about, we were talking about the Freemasons and like the origins of the Freemasons probably built all those crazy like Capitol buildings and shit, right? So that's where they probably got their power. They just knew how to build all this shit. So they became super powerful and very important to rulers, dictators, to build these amazing structures. Have you looked into the old world order and Tartaria and all that stuff?
Into alternative views of history, but I don't really put much stock in the Tartaria stuff. I mean, I know there were the Tartars as a kingdom, but I mean, a mud flood where we don't have the ability to build, I don't think that's the case. I think that they just don't build quality buildings anymore because, I mean, a lot of people are retarded and can't do what we used to be able to do, but also they don't want beautiful architecture. They want to get rid of that. I mean, if you look at when the communists took over, you notice they intentionally changed all the architecture. Like, the buildings became these big ugly boxes and everything becomes functional, and you can't have beauty because beauty would suggest bourgeois, right? So you can't have bourgeois because while a building doesn't exist to be beautiful, it exists for a function, right?
But why not just destroy all those Capitol buildings? And because basically a
lot of them they did. Big ugly structures that were the Soviet or the communist government.
Yeah, but every Capitol building is amazing. The architecture is just fucking amazing.
Well, I was just using communism as an example of like where they intentionally tried to put their philosophy into architecture.
Yeah,
and the art too.
I'm a white belt in Old World Order, Tartaria. They just say Tartaria, but it's basically, it isn't like, oh, we know everything about Tartaria, this country, this empire. It's not really that. It's just called that. You know what I mean? Like an iPod. An iPod was an iPod now, or a podcast, like a podcast, right? It's just called a podcast, but it's not really a podcast. It's like you're not on your iPod. There's no more.
Right. So there was an advanced civilization that had all these.
It's not about like, oh, we know that we got the government papers of Tartaria. Right. It's about, dude, there's these buildings, these amazing buildings that people are like, that's what you just said. Like, yeah, people used to build it like that. They don't do it now. They don't know how to do it now, but they used to. But they used to when? They used to when? And when you look into the history in the 1800s and the history of the United States, shit don't make sense, dude. Shit. You know, like in 1860, 1870, Western United States was cowboys and Indians. It was the gold rush. It was fucking saloons and shit. Everybody's on horses, cowboys and Indians, right?
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck did they have cathedrals in the West Coast? They already had them in San Francisco and in Utah. How'd they build that shit? How'd they build? See, that's what we're talking about. There was an old world order. They got hit with something, a mud flood, magnetic apocalypse, because the conspiracy theory is this old world already had free energy. Tesla didn't discover free energy. Tesla was just re-engineering shit that already existed. Actually power stations like that, spires, they were collecting electricity and power through the air, through the sky, and it's, dude, like I said, I'm a white belt, but it's fucking fascinating. No way they the fucking Western United States. It was cowboys and Indians.
Well, hold on. So what structure are we talking about?
Oh, okay.
What's that?
What was that? Hibbler, pull up something like San Francisco or Utah, or I mean,
like San Francisco, the Spanish have been there for what, since the 1500s, right? So, what, I don't understand, why is that?
You can't build this shit with horse and buggy technology, is what I'm saying. No power tools, and you're building amazing structures, and it's horse and buggy. Every time you see a picture, this is the propaganda. They always show horse and buggy. See that?
It looks like they're digging these buildings up half the time too, especially back then.
Well, what I'm saying is,
it's not that crazy. Past civilizations that were way ahead of us and everything, and then something hit them, and then we repopulated, and we moved into like the cities. The cities are where they're at because they were already there. There was already cities there that were abandoned. This is the conspiracy theory. And then we rebuilt it and repopulated, brought in orphans. Like there was do you know that there was in the late 1800s, early 1900s, there was a huge orphan industry?
Sale. Yeah, you can get a
dude. They were like trying to mass populate the country as fast as they can.
Another thing too is, look, I mean, a lot of these older photos of the mid 1800s, late 1800s, there's no people there. You don't see anyone in any of these photos. I've studied this for there's thousands of photos like this. I think this is San Francisco. There's just, and a lot of them you get in high resolution and you can really zoom in and look around. You don't see anyone. It's very strange.
Yeah. Hey, can you play, Hibbler is going to put out a documentary about this. Like he's balls deep in it. Can you play your trailer really quick?
Yeah.
Check this out.
History is written by the victors. So what if the victor story is fabricated? What if the story they gave us all about our recent past was nothing short of a complete lie?
Visit owofilm.com for more information.
Yeah, it's a new rabbit hole for you, man.
So,
Dude,
so how does the babies in the incubators tie into this thing? What's the I don't understand.
Hitler?
Well, in terms of theory, I wasn't there, but just going.
What's
back
the theory?
Look at it. Well, you're looking at old newspaper articles and trying to put things together. Mind Unveiled is a great channel to watch. I think he's up your alley with this type of stuff if you want to look at him. But it's more of empty cities and photos from the early 1800s, mid 1800s. It seems like America was empty, but these structures were here.
Mm.
And then little by little, they started populating each city. And then once it got populated, after they'd say, oh, look, there's a fire. We have to take these buildings down and start rebuilding our own structures at that point. But a lot of these structures back then, you could see that they were even in the asylums themselves. So these children were trains every day and just bringing them in on technology that was already there. The trains were already there. The tracks were already there. They were dug up. You could see photos back then that they were digging up these tracks that were already there. And it's very strange because it seems as completely theorizing here. Seems like they populated this country at their disposal. A lot of these photos of these asylums and these children bringing in, there's always a top. Doesn't make sense. It just
gotcha. All right, I got them
doesn't
pulled
add up. And again, and actually populating this country, and as you know, with the Board of Education and Rockefeller and these people coming in, the Collins family, all these people coming in, it's pretty easy to paint a story of Columbus at that point. It's pretty easy to paint a Wild West. They can put whatever they want down in a book. And now the boomers' grandparents are being taught this. And a lot of I've read stories too. I'll leave you with this. I read a lot of stories in this process of researching that these cabbage and people saying, my great grandma or whoever in their family history was a cabbage baby, and they were purchased and brought to America, and they were taught the same story that we're still taught today. So I feel like it just gets passed down from generation. But as you know, things are unveiling. So
really,
take a look at that. You guys talk.
Really, the basic idea is once you figure out that most information coming from the mainstream is fucking fake, right?
Right.
That includes our history. So now we got to go back and dice. When someone first gets red pilled, when like the first day they're like, oh my God, 9/11 was an inside job. I'm like, good for you. Back and deprogram yourself from all these other subjects and layers and dimensions and events. So a lot of brand new people that were just recently awakened. A lot of work to do. They think they're so smart because they think they figured it out. And like, dude, you got a long way to go, dog. There's so many rabbit holes. Holy shit. There's so many rabbit holes. And really the basic with the whole Tartaria old world order is you got to question all history. Like what is it? Like what is history? Just what people wrote in books? You don't think people can lie? Oh no, it's in a book. Oh, I read. Oh, once you can't lie, you can't type and lie. You can't lie and type. No, if you type, and it went through a publishing house. I read books. When people say, read a book. Oh, I read a book. How do you know they can't lie in these books? Aren't there didn't they have propaganda since the dawn of time, and all they the only way they can share information was either by speaking or by writing in a book or typing in a book. You don't think it was the same level of propaganda back then that there is now? So man, history, there's no video of history. There's no videos of 1600. There's no videos of 800 AD. There's no pictures or video, just fucking drawings and just, paintings and books. How do you know what's real? So when people tell me in 1272, this king invaded this country because of this and that, like, how do you fucking know? Because you read it in a book? So it's, check this out. Henry Kissinger's book We're gonna end with this, right? There's a perfect ending. Check this out. This is you know everything about Henry Kissinger. Look what look what's right there. You see that Tartaria? That map? Isn't that interesting?
And Hyperborea.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Tartaria right there on his book. Incredible, right there in the center on the top, right there, Tartaria. So, anyways, Jay, how can my audience find you? Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on everything just under my name, Jay Dyer or Jay's Analysis. You can go to my website, jaysanalysis.com. I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Jay Dyer. So yeah, just under my name pretty much. And then you can get.
What do you got coming up? You got any comedy dates coming up, or you got any Earth conventions you want to plug?
We might be doing a show in Vegas. We're trying to organize that for maybe January, February. But other than that, I mean, that'll all be posted on my social media if people want to come out to that. But other than that, no, I host the 4th Hour of Alex Jones every Friday, and then just YouTube channel.
Wait a minute. You got a show on Alex Jones Network?
No, I host Alex's 4th Hour every Friday.
So what does that mean exactly? You like zoom in?
So Alex does a 4-hour show, okay. And most of the time on the 4th hour, he lets. So I've been doing every Friday for the last 3 years, I think.
Dude, I had no fucking idea.
Yeah, every Friday I do.
Maybe you told me that the first time I had you on, but I fucking forgot. Wow. I to be honest, I love Alex Jones. He's a really plenty of times, but I only watch little clips of him on InfoWars. I don't watch if I see something that's 3 hours, unless it's a specific topic, I'm probably not gonna click on it. You know what I mean? That's a long time of
well, most of my 4th it all goes up to Rockfin. So all that's on my Rockfin channel under my name.
Okay, okay. And what do you usually talk about when you do Alex Jones show?
I mean, I usually take a book, like some book. My wife and I were on the 4th hour. We did an Aleister Crowley based text. I usually do like a Kissinger book or a Brzezinski book. Or I usually cover something more hardcore than just news. Like I get deeper into writing Power Elite.
Now, real quick, are you? There's always two sides to politicians, right? There's the mainstream side and then the untold side.
Right.
Either the mainstream side, he was great, he was good, but the alternative was like, dude, this guy was a piece of shit. Or vice versa. Mainstream, this guy's a piece of shit, but the
maybe he's actually
story is he was actually fighting for humanity, right? Mainstream narrative on Ronald Reagan is like, he's a warmonger, typical Republican, but is there what's the real story? Because they did. I'm thinking he may have been a good guy, right? But then at the same time, I know that he was on the list for Lookout Mountain Laboratories, the secret film studio in the Hollywood Hills that film propaganda films.
I think to be kind of an establishment figure. And then early on, he had a lot of those, like he would talk about going against the Trilateral Commission and the CFR. So I think he was straying from the script, and I think probably played a big role in that setting him straight with that assassination attempt.
So is it clear that after the assassination attempt that he just fucking shut his fucking mouth?
He went back to being a normie. Yeah.
Is there a documentary that talks about? Because I'm fascinated with Ronald Reagan. I want to know the real Ronald Reagan. Is there something out there?
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember
where a documentary out there. I looked for him.
I don't know.
And now what about Richard Nixon? The mainstream narrative, he was a piece of shit. But I'm thinking, man, what?
Yeah, actually, did you? So Alex, he just had Roger Stone on the other day, and Roger Stone was working with Nixon during that time, and the weird part was that everything Roger Stone was saying about Kissinger was just reading about Kissinger, and Roger Stone says that Kissinger and Alexander Haig were basically behind Watergate. They ruined Nixon administration because Nixon was trying to actually do some good things, and I think that's true. I think that's That makes sense to me. I'm not saying Nixon was like some hero, but that makes sense with the way Kissinger operated as like a background controller to Nixon and Carter.
And you know, there's also a third. I mean, it could either be like, oh, mainstream narrative said he's a piece of shit,
right?
Or actually, it was Kissinger and he got framed, right? And
yeah.
But that doesn't make him good. It could be they were
both
pieces of shit, and they stabbed each other, and they one bad side threw the other bad side under the bus. Could be that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I know Richard Nixon. Well, I heard maybe it's not true, but Operation 40 was managed, or I don't know what the official word would be, or official title would be, but I heard that Richard Nixon was in charge of Operation 40, which was an operation to gather international mercenaries and snipers and killers to go after Fidel Castro. Right? Did you hear about that? Do you know about that?
I haven't heard of that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, he had something to do. He was like involved and he was managing it. So I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe that was 40 is a good thing. Put together a bunch of international fucking assassins to go after Fidel Castro. Maybe that's a good thing. But I then you look into JFK assassination, RFK assassination, and the same Operation 40, like something Morales. There was like these there were actual assassins with names, and people know who Operation 40 was. A lot of Cuban exile.
The exiles. Yeah. So that's who they were.
Morales.
They were using them in the Bay of Pigs too.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Because they were put together originally for Fidel Castro to take him out,
right.
But they ended up keeping Operation 40 together to go get
other people
too.
Yeah,
so you see the same guy, like in the RFK assassination here in LA. I think it was at the Beverly Wilshire or whatever.
Yeah,
like there was security people that were like, you could see him on film, like, dude, that guy's in Operation 40. That guy's in Operation 40. So they came in. They used Operation.
And those people for that Black Ops stuff.
They kept them around.
Right.
And the same thing with John Lennon's assassination. One of the guys from Operation 40 was like working the door. That's what they say. But who knows?
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, that matches up with a lot of the stuff I've read. You should, have you read the book Comedic 300? That's right up your alley. You should read that.
No.
John Coleman, Comedic 300. That's a really
like
good.
The trilateral.
Well, John Coleman was British intelligence, but he wrote this book in the 90s saying what would happen in the next like 30 or 40 years, and everything he said has happened yet. But the book is about like the top 300 most powerful people. A lot of what we've talked about and stuff that you've mentioned, he talks about that in that book.
Oh damn! Oh, is there an audio book?
I think it is. Actually, I think if you go to Rumble, both his book on Tavistock and Comedic on audio. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Boom! I'm on it.
If I find it, I'll send it to you.
Hell yeah, Jay motherfucking Dyer, you're a bad motherfucker, man. I'm gonna have you on as a regular forever, man. You have so much information, so much knowledge. Man, I thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for being on my show. We'll do it again real soon.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And if anybody wants my books for Christmas presents, you go to my website and get them in the shop.
Oh shit, Esoteric Hollywood. Nice.
Yeah.
You got?
Not yet. No.
Make it an audio and send me a link, dog. I want to hear it.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, man. Good night.
Peace out. Later.
The Jiu-Jitsu Dojo is the ultimate training ground for life. Jiu-Jitsu will accelerate the evolution of your being, your consciousness, your soul. Through this amazing art, you will prove to yourself that you can master anything you set your mind to.
Happy birthday, Eddie Bravo.
I leave for Brazil tomorrow.
Are you the Fear Factor guy?
I'm like 6 pounds over. Time to sweat it out.
Just imagine someone that has no idea how different your game is.
I'll tell you what this weekend was, man. It was a culmination point where all your hard work comes to like one great moment in time. You showed that you're a fucking champion, guy who goes against convention. You created your own shit and figured interesting ways to get around problems in jiu-jitsu. And shows you that great things are possible if you work hard, if you dedicate yourself, and you use your creativity, and you push through. Your own human potential just goes up.
My 10th Planet Association has grown rapidly to over 70 academies worldwide, and their curriculums are all synced to 10th Planet headquarters located in downtown Los Angeles. I'm Eddie Bravo. I hope to see you on the mats.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake.